Well, it's very nice to be joined by a WPP colleague, SANJA Partallo. Very nice to see you, SANJA. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. You've just moderated a very interesting panel here at Stream Commerce in Miami. We are now witnessing, I suppose, an era of everything used to be done by a single company. They had lots of resource. Now the model is fast moving to companies partnering with other companies, sometimes competing, sometimes being sort of close in various different teams. That's causing quite a lot of issues in terms of how companies organize and structure themselves. And that was very much the focus of some of the discussions that you were leading on the panel. What do you think the key issues are for people who want to embrace a more partnership, a more eco sort of system, center of working?
System. Yes, absolutely. It's a very interesting question, and we had a very lively discussion. It's very germane to a lot of people's sort of roles and where the industry is going. And really the conversation was focused around technology stacks and what technology can do, our ambitions, and the sort of organizational silos and complexities, if you will, that stand in the way. And the panel was really discussing that we're sort of in a place where everybody wants multi-channel, personalized commerce, right? All touch points, seamless experience for customers. They look at technology as a solution. And the reality is an Adobe stack, a Salesforce stack, even Google plus something else stack can accomplish these things. So the technology is there, it can do it. The problem in execution lies in the fact that most of us, most companies are sort of based in silos, traditional business models, and it's really difficult for people to identify who owns what piece and therefore who's executing what piece.
And also, if you want your customer to have a seamless, frictionless experience, it's absolutely impossible unless your internal structures are seamless and frictionless.
Yes, absolutely. And we had a very lively discussion on that topic because you have well-intentioned people, getting in and saying, we want to drive top line, so we're all aligned to drive top line. And underneath what you find out is, okay, well, now that we can do personalized content, we need to create more of it. Who's going to be manning that? Now that we have multiple data sources that have different leads, how do we integrate it? And what is the structure and the net to weave these things together?
And where within the organization are the solutions coming from, or who's owning actually how do you knit all this together into something that is completely seamless, where everybody is measured in the same way?
Yeah, what we're finding in the cases where it works well, it's usually the mandate comes from the top. So you have executive leadership saying this is the path we're going down, and underneath what you see is sales teams, operation teams, so both supply chain, logistics, you see marketing teams, and you see sort of CIO, information technology teams. So it's really sort of an all hands on deck type of exercise, and it's really important to do this work at the beginning. We also heard on the panel many stories of people saying, okay, we're going to sign the contract, call it with Adobe. Adobe is going to create this path for us without thinking through who are the internal stakeholders that we need to have on board to think through the functional expertise that's needed to really propel this.
And I suppose it's slightly ironic in a sense that now, in a sense, the technology can do what it is we want, that it's actually the people part of the equation that potentially is holding it back.
Yeah, I feel like as anything with life, the humans are both the solution and the problem. And I think we had a lot of humble souls at WPP Stream Commerce discussing these issues because the questions are new, and what technology enables us to do, we sort of need to catch up organizationally to get there, because multi-channel personal content and commerce, most organizations aren't organized that way. They're organized by channel or maybe by marketing or IT functionality, and the reality is these things need to work together.
But the size of the prize of getting it right is ginormous, isn't it? So the pain that one has to go through in order to realize that is definitely worth it. What advice would you give companies who are in that sort of, I suppose, awkward place? They know exactly.
Teenage phase.
Yes, teenage phase, the nasty teenage phase.
Yes, we have a lot of pimply phases.
Gosh, yes, I remember those days.
Yeah.
They know where the prize is, but getting there is the problem at the moment. What advice would you give from the experience that you've had so far?
Think through the organizational structure first. Before you even start evaluating the technology, think about, okay, am I going to change my logistics model. The technology is going to enable us to be much more flexible about how we change pricing. We're going to need a lot more content, so we need to get marketing people involved. So you need to think through what is the right org structure, find the relevant stakeholders, empower them, tell them the mandate is to be collaborative, and then unleash yourself on the sort of technology, infrastructure, and deployment that gets you to this beautiful, seamless experience with the customer that appreciates it and knows no pains of how you got there.
Is there a wider role for the brand within those sort of discussions? Because there's the brand that customers see, but there's also the internal employee brand in a sense. And whilst you're looking at a reorganization structure, aligning around what the brand stands for, how you behave, actually could play a very important part in defining what you want to end up with.
I think that's a very interesting question. I wish it would have come up on the panel, because I think
next year's stream.
Next year's stream. Let's write that down. I think it absolutely matters, and I think in companies where this behavior, these sort of I hate the word agile because it's so overused, but in places where agile teams that are cross-functional are accustomed to delivering experiences together, it is very clear that the internal brand, who we are, how we go to market, is a major determinant in the decisions that they make that eventually influence what that experience looks like. I wish I had a good example off the top of my head, but I feel like that would be singling out somebody.
Well, let's not go there. Thanks very much for talking to us. I think this area is unbelievably important because technology is sort of slightly useless unless we organize organizations around being able to use it well and to extract the value out of it. So, Sonja, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, David.